One last choice. English listening story. Listening level B2. Episode 1. The message that was never meant to be sent. Emily was not supposed to send the message. She stared at her phone in the dim light of the airport cafe, fingers hovering, heart racing. 3 years of silence, compressed into one blinking cursor. I saw your name on a departure board today. She hit send before fear could stop her. Jake was a memory she never fully closed. Not an ex. Not a stranger. Something unfinished. The most dangerous kind of love. They had met once, briefly, intensely, at a conference in Seattle. 2 days, endless conversations, hands brushing, a hug that lasted 1 second too long. And then life happened. Timing failed them. Distance finished the rest. Emily had learned to live with the absence, or so she thought. The airport was crowded, yet she felt painfully alone. Planes arrived, planes left, people reunited, people said goodbye. She wondered which category her heart belonged to. Her phone vibrated. A reply. Not a sentence, just one word. Emily. Her breath caught. That single word carried everything. Surprise, warmth, hesitation, memory. She looked up instinctively, as if Jake might suddenly be there, standing between strangers and suitcases. The boarding announcement echoed above her. She still didn't know if replying would change her life, or break it all over again. Episode 2, Gate 47B. Jake read her message twice before standing up too fast, chair scraping against the floor. He hadn't expected this. Not today. Not ever. He was at Gate 47B, waiting for a flight he wasn't sure he should take. New city, new job, a clean reset. That had been the plan, until her name appeared on his screen like a quiet earthquake. Emily, the woman he had measured every connection against and found them all lacking. He typed, deleted, typed again. Sent only her name, because anything more felt dangerous. Then another message arrived. Are you still afraid of flying? Jake laughed under his breath. She remembered that. Of course she did. She remembered everything that mattered. Only when I'm leaving something unfinished. Minutes passed. The gate agent called for boarding. Jake stayed seated, eyes fixed on his phone, heart pulling him backward while life pushed him forward. Across the terminal, Emily stood up slowly, her flight boarding too. Different destinations, different lives, same fragile thread tightening between them. She sent one last message. What if this time that we don't let go? Jake closed his eyes. 2 flights, 2 choices, 1 unanswered question, and the clock was moving faster than either of them was ready for. Episode 3, The Seat Between Us. Emily almost missed him. She was walking toward her gate when something made her stop, a pull she couldn't explain. She turned, scanning the terminal, and then she saw him. Jake stood near the windows, phone in hand, as if the world had paused around him. For a second, neither moved. Then he smiled. Not wide, not confident. The same careful smile he had given her 3 years ago. The one that meant I'm here, but I'm afraid. They didn't run. They walked toward each other slowly, as if sudden movement might break the moment. Hi, Emily said. Hi, Jake answered. That was all. They sat side by side at an empty row of seats between their gates. Their arms touched accidentally, then didn't move away. No explanations, no apologies, just presence. I thought you were already gone, Emily whispered. I thought you never wanted to hear from me again, he said. The truth hovered between them, heavy and unfinished. A boarding call echoed, not hers, not his. Yet, Emily rested her head briefly against his shoulder, just for a breath, just to be sure he was real. Jake's hand covered hers, warm, steady. Neither of them knew who would be the first to stand up. Episode 4, The Flight That Wasn't Planned. They talked in fragments like people afraid to say too much and lose everything. Why now? Jake asked quietly. Emily watched planes move beyond the glass. Because I'm tired of pretending I don't still look for you. His fingers tightened around hers, just slightly. I almost deleted your message, he admitted. I told myself I was starting over. And? she asked. And then I realized I never finished. Silence settled, not uncomfortable, just full. Jake glanced at the departure board. His flight was still listed. So was hers. 2 cities, 2 hours apart by air, a lifetime apart by fear. What if we try? Emily said slowly, and it still doesn't work. Jake turned to her fully. What if we don't try and it never gets a chance? The announcement came. Final boarding call. His flight. He stood up and then hesitated. I can stay, he said almost to himself. Emily's heart pounded. She didn't ask him to. She didn't stop him either. Jake looked at the gate, then back at her, and made a choice that couldn't be undone. But whether it was the right one, neither of them knew yet. Episode 5, 2 cities, 1 silence. They didn't leave together. Jake stayed. Emily flew. It wasn't dramatic. No tears at the gate. Just a long hug. The kind that says this matters more than we're ready to admit. His forehead rested against hers, hands steady on her back, as if anchoring her to something real. Text me when you land, he said. I will, she promised. And she did. At first, everything felt easy. Messages in the morning, voice notes late at night, small details shared like sacred things, what she ate, how his city smelled after rain. They were careful, hopeful, almost happy. Then the pauses began. Jake took longer to reply. Hours turned into a day. Emily told herself not to overthink. Americans called it being busy. She called it a familiar ache. One night, she typed a message and erased it 5 times. Are you still here? Instead, she sent, hope your day was okay. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. No reply. Emily stared at the screen, the same way she once stared at departure boards, waiting for something that might never arrive. Across the country, Jake sat alone in his apartment, phone face down, heart torn between what he wanted and what he hadn't told her yet. Episode 6, The Truth He Almost Sent. Jake had never been good at half-truths. That was the problem. He opened Emily's last message again, reading it like a confession he didn't deserve. She was patient. Too patient. And patience, he knew, had limits. He started typing. There's something you don't know. He stopped. Outside, city lights blurred against the window. This was supposed to be a new beginning. But the past had followed him, quietly, persistently. Jake wasn't just changing cities. He was leaving because of a contract he hadn't explained. A 2-year assignment, unstable, confidential. A job that didn't allow promises or clear plans. A job that had already cost him someone once before. He typed again. I want you, but my life is complicated. Delete. Emily deserved clarity. Or distance. Not this slow disappearance. His phone buzzed. A missed call. Emily. Jake's chest tightened. He imagined her waiting, wondering, blaming herself for a silence that wasn't her fault. He pressed call back, then stopped. If he answered now, he would have to tell the truth. And he wasn't ready to risk losing her, or pulling her into a life she didn't choose. The phone went quiet again. And somewhere between fear and love, Jake made a decision that would change everything. But Emily would feel it first. Episode 7, The Space He Left Behind. Emily stopped calling after the 3rd unanswered try. Not out of pride, out of exhaustion. Silence had a weight. It followed her through rooms, through mornings, through the small rituals she once shared with Jake. She replayed every message, searching for the moment she'd said too much, or not enough. Then she did something she had never planned to do. She booked a flight, not to chase him, not to demand answers, just to return something he had left behind. A notebook, forgotten at the airport cafe that day. Pages filled with half-written thoughts, sketches of cities, and one line she couldn't forget. Some loves don't end, they wait. She didn't tell him she was coming. When Emily walked into the cafe near his apartment building, her heart almost stopped. Jake was there, tired, thinner, as if life had been pressing on him too hard. Their eyes met. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he stood, crossed the space between them, and hugged her. Not gently, not carefully, but like someone who had been holding his breath for too long. I didn't disappear because I stopped caring, he whispered. Emily closed her eyes. Episode 8, What Love Costs. They sat across from each other, hands still touching, as if letting go would erase the moment. Jake finally told her the truth. The contract. The uncertainty. The years of not knowing where he would be next, or who he would be allowed to become. He spoke quietly, without drama, as if saying it too loudly might make her leave. I didn't want to pull you into this, he said. I didn't want to ask you to wait. Emily listened, heart aching in places she hadn't known existed. You don't get to decide what I can choose, she replied. Tears gathered, but she didn't let them fall. I don't need guarantees, she continued. I need honesty. Jake reached for her, resting his forehead against hers. The world narrowed to breath and closeness. I love you, he said, not as a promise, but as a truth. Emily held him, knowing love was not the hardest part. Choosing to stay or walk away what was outside, a plane roared overhead. Jake's phone vibrated. A message. Another departure. Another deadline. Emily looked at him, waiting, and neither of them knew what answer would hurt less. Episode 9, The Choice That Stays. They walked to the airport together. No rush, no panic, just two people moving slowly through a place built for leaving. Jake didn't check the departure board. Emily didn't ask which gate. Some choices, they both knew, shouldn't be rushed. At security, Jake stopped. His hands found hers, warm, familiar, steady in a way that felt dangerously like home. I don't know where I'll be in a year, he said quietly, or who I'll be allowed to be. Emily nodded. Her throat burned, but her voice didn't shake. I don't need a map, she replied. I need truth. And I need to know that when you leave, you don't disappear. Jake pulled her into an embrace, not desperate, not final, but deep. The kind that promises presence, not permanence. I won't vanish, he whispered, even if I have to go. They stood there, forehead to forehead, breathing the same air, memorizing each other in silence. Then the announcement came. Jake stepped back, just far enough to look at her. Emily smiled through tears she refused to shed. Go, she said, but stay real. He turned, took 3 steps, stopped, looked back. Emily was still there, and in that moment, neither distance nor time felt stronger than what they had chosen. Some love stories don't end. They stain quietly in every return. The end. For more interesting stories, welcome to the English Listening Stories channel. We'll be happy to your subscription as support.